Hey guys, Dov here with some more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. Today we're going to be doing a Dwarf multicast. These are some tournament games from Umaze from my recent Flash tournament here, and we're going to be up against the Dark Elves first. Kafka is his opponent, and you can see already starting the fun with some Vanguard, Rangers, and Miners. With blasting charges, of course. We've also got Gyrocopter Brimstone guns, some more Rangers here. Yeah, it looks like Grombrindle as we saw at the start. Plenty of Dwarf Warriors, Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, Norgoblings, Ironbreakers. And as for Kafka's Dark Elves, he's got Hargoneth Executioners over here, some Bleak Swords, some Dark Shards with Shields, more Bleak Swords. Over on this side, got a force of Sisters of Slaughter, Dark Shards with Shields, more Bleak Swords, and some Harpies as well. So, yeah, two more Executioners over on the side, and it looks like Malekith on his Lizard Limo going to be leading the way. Not a mount option you see too much, but quite strong, absolutely against the Dwarves. So, Umaze does a great job in this replay and all the others of kind of creating a multi-layer missile defense, which is definitely what you need to do when playing as the Dwarves. Bugman's Rangers definitely help with that, with their regeneration, immune to psych, charge defense, and so on. Just kind of having overlapping lanes of, Quarrelers especially. All the Dwarf crossbow units, since they're AP buff, do good enough AP now that you can almost get away with not using the Thunderers in certain matchups, especially like this one, where you're only going to see a certain few high armor units, like these Executioners, perhaps Malekith, maybe some Cold One Knights, something like that. But over here, you can see these two Executioners do get a little bit blobbed up on one unit of Dwarf Warriors here. This Dwarf Warrior is absolutely going to get munched on, but they will be able to hold up for some time, which is kind of the point here. Meanwhile, the Sisters of Slaughter are running in, taking blasting charges and fire to the face. Norgoblings, Ironbreakers, of course, with their massive melee defense, will take no damage. It looks like the Sisters of Slaughter aren't even really trying, to be honest, but still, Dark Elves breaking through into the back line, and Rangers, because of their lack of armor compared to, Quarrelers, obviously. They're going to lose out pretty hard here, even quicker than Quarrelers would to Sisters of Slaughter. Quarrelers would still lose anyway, but yeah, the Rangers definitely not having the best time, but of course the blasting charges can clear out those light targets very, very quickly. The Wargrimlings do have plenty of those. Meanwhile, up here, you can see the Hargoneth Executioners finally realizing that they've been kind of stuck up on this kind of blob here too long. They're going to push forward and try and get on some of these other skirmish units. Harpy's doing a great job tying things down, and Malekith, I haven't really been focusing him too much, but let's check in with him. He's up to 57 kills, got a nice little Soul Stealer here in the center, helping these Hargoneth Executioners finish cleaning up the Dwarf Warriors there, maybe do some damage to Grombrindle as well, but Grombrindle, of course, absolute unit. You can see Warriors of Dragonfire Pass here, chasing away the Dark Shards with shields. That's maybe not the most cost-effective, but it's decently cost-effective at the end of the day. Yeah, the Executioners, just because of the low model count situation and the fact there's not a lot of mobile disruption, they are now going to be the focus of the fire. And coming up against the Norgoblings Ironbreakers, so this is maybe the one unit that can hold them up for a considerable amount of time, because of their 82 melee defense and 90 unit models. The Executioners just won't be able to make great contact with them. I mean, they'll definitely make contact, but yeah, it's just not going to be the best situation, especially with all of these crossbows in this beautiful concave, just riding Overwatch fire. The Sisters of Slaughter here, again, caught up on Dwarf Warriors. They're still pretty healthy, but the Murderous Prowess has popped off. Not that that's helping the Dark Elves much. The balance of power is definitely going in the Dwarfs' favor at this point. The Hargoneth Executioners up here are still pretty healthy, and Malekith is as well, but he's getting back here, getting at the Bugman's Rangers. He's going to charge in, take out a couple of unit models there, but of course, the Bugman's Rangers do have regeneration, so many of them that were hurt there will be able to regenerate some of their HP. These Bleak Swords, I don't know that they'll even be able to beat the Bugman's Rangers. The Harpies are doing a good job kind of pressuring the Gyros around, but they themselves are pretty thin on numbers, and there's just not enough Dark Elf units to occupy all these missile units. You can see here, even the Sisters of Slaughter getting into the back line. They will start to clean up some of these Quarrelers. We actually have, looks like, a mix of Quarrelers, Rangers, and Bugman's Rangers, right? So the Quarrelers' armor will help them hold up a little bit longer against the Sisters of Slaughter. Like I said, they'll still lose, absolutely. But it'll be okay. Brave Dawi here. Whip their shields out and their axes. Nope, maybe some more point-blank shots as the Sisters actually route away there from getting shot in the back. At this point, not looking too great. These Hargoneth Executioners are having to learn the hard way that Grombrindle has no fear. He sends them tumbling down the hillside. And the Quarrelers providing, or Rangers rather, providing some point-blank Overwatch fire here from both sides. Just a bad situation, a bad day to be a Dark Elf. It's always a bad day to be a Dark Elf, probably, but today is extra bad. Malekith's going to try and restore himself with a bit of Soul Stealer. He does come in and do a good damage to Grombrindle. Yeah, and the fact that he's kind of keeping him pushed there might continue to do damage to him, but at this point there's not really a whole lot else left of the Dark Elf army besides Malekith. Like, there are these Dark Shards who've managed to use up their whole most of their ammo during that Wild Goose Chase, but still you can see, yeah, only 19 kills, probably haven't paid for themselves. I'm just really not the biggest fan of Dark Shards. Even with the shields, I don't think that you just really can't outshoot the Dwarves. I really think you're much better off to take some mobile disruption units, maybe a couple Feral Manticores even. Just try and, you know, punch in and start to disrupt the Dwarf lines as much as you can. That way when your heavy hitters get in there, they can clean up without getting shot up on the approach, right? But as it is right now, Grombrindle might actually catch Malekith with the smoke bomb here. Malekith looks like he's also sitting duck for the Corlers and for the Gyrocopters. Looks like the Brimstone gun's moving in here, and Malekith probably going to give up the fight. No, he's still technically on the board, but there goes the smoke bomb, debuffing his melee defense, and Grombrindle's able to catch up with him, finally silence the Witch King. Very, very appropriate and thematic that Grombrindle's the one to finish this guy off. And there it is. First victory for the Dwarves. It's an interesting map. That Duskwatch Plateau map, it definitely, in some ways it works against the Dwarves because you don't have really clear line of sight for your artillery, but there are a couple of impassable terrain features that you can also use to your advantage. Potentially fighting in the woods against chariots as well is possible on that map, so it's definitely kind of some interesting situations created there, and Yume's obviously not going with any long-range artillery, just going all in on the mid-range with 5 Rangers, 3 Corlers, 1 Bugman's Ranger. I absolutely love it. And then the Gyrocopter as well. Handful of infantry, and then just Grombrindle for a hero, so no hero squad, no Gotrek or Felix or anything. Just Grombrindle himself, and I guess that's all you needed. From Kafka's side, as I mentioned, I'm not the biggest fan of Dark Shards with Shields. I'd probably cut these 2 out, and I don't know, maybe cut one of these Sisters of Slaughter down to another Bleak Sword. That would afford you the extra points to be able to upgrade them to, like, Manticores. Might also cut out, like, 2 of these Harpies for a couple Dark Riders. You could even cut out, what, all 3, or maybe, like, yeah, potentially 4 if you did save some somewhere else, Dark Riders without shields, just to give you a little bit more extra disruption. I don't know, the Harpies are definitely good for disruption, but they're just, I mean, not that the Dark Riders are much more tanky, but I don't know. I just like them a little bit better, I guess. 127 kills on Malekith. Definitely good stuff. Big fan of the Lizard Limo mount here. I think it's pretty underrated, but fun, yeah, very fun battle. Nice and thematic, and we'll get to the next one without further ado from me. So, yeah, see you there. They'll never see me here. Hey, guys, back, and yeah, the Dwarves are going to be taking on their hated rivals, the Greenskins. This time, we've got a Rune Lord cleverly disguised as a tree, and a little bit of a mobile, what, octagon? I don't know, I guess, what, 9-sided here? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, octagon, there we go, very nice. Trollhammer torpedoes, Longbeards with great weapons, Iron Breakers, including the Norgrimlings, Dwarf Warriors, and Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. 3 cannons being protected, and we've also got Ekron's Miners for some extra blasting charges. The Greenskins have primarily deployed deep in the woods here, on the plane of spiders, to avoid getting shot up as much as possible on the approach. Definitely smart. We've got some Squig Hoppers, some Spider Riders, Wolf Rider Archers, Nasty Skulkers, the Rusty Errors, looks like some Night Goblins, the Warlord's Boys, 1 unit of Black Orcs, 2 actually, and more Squig Hoppers, led by Azag the Slaughterer. Looks like there's some more Wolf Rider Archers for distracting the cannons. They've taken some cannon shots already, but that's actually, you know, it's not great. You don't necessarily want them taking free damage. But, of course, they're only 350 points, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah. A lot of people aren't the biggest fan of this kind of box style of play, and I get that to a degree. I mean, he's not, like, corner camping or anything, so in my opinion, it's really not that egregious. And against a kind of static build like this, there are things that you can do. Obviously, you can try and rush all in one area and overload, And unless your opponent reacts by kind of enveloping you with their box, then oftentimes you can kind of crash through and start to disrupt the central area very quickly. You can like try and break through the corners here. There's various sorts of things you can do. You definitely want to take your time though, and that is what the Greenskins player is going to be doing here, taking his sweet time, getting up and around with all these various units. So we will fast forward a bit as he does the right thing. Tries to get a nice full surround here as much as possible. Pressure from all angles. And now we come in, and you can see here the Wolf Riders are going to pull up and start shooting the cannon crews, I would imagine. Nope, actually looks like they're shooting the Trollhammer torpedoes, which they're going to do very, very minimal damage. I'd probably recommend in this situation that you pull up and shoot the cannon crews. Because they are low armor, you can take them out very quickly. And I mean, granted, they're not that big of threats, but at the same time, I mean, if you can just take them out, that means you'll be less pressured to try and break through very quickly, right? But Skulkers running in here, they're going to get kind of counterpunched by Dwarfs a little bit. Great blasting charges on the Warlords boys there. From those Ironbreakers up front. You can see the Norgrimlings and regular Ironbreakers switched up to the front. Dwarf Warriors are now in the back here, but Smoke Bomb looks like unfortunately did not quite catch those Gyrocopters, but Greenskins going for the all-in-one area approach as the Gobos rush in. This is going to open them up to getting blasting charged pretty bad, but at the same time, I mean, they're Gobos, they'll come back. And the Dwarfs are taking a lot of damage while now being popped as the Black Orcs are about to come into contact here with the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers. And yeah, Norgrimlings, even still, they have 82 melee defense, and they did negate that 34 charge as well, so they'll still be close to minimum chance to hit. Those Black Orcs will, even with while active. Norgrimlings Ironbreakers are just so tanky, but yeah, the Archers are doing some effective damage. Wolf Rider Archers and the Rusty Arrows, of course, providing some armor sundering as well. We got Gobos running off the field, but they probably will come back. Meanwhile, the Squig Hoppers over here kind of touching and running. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a problem. Azag has taken a lot of damage from the cannons. Might have just wanted to hang back, honestly. Yeah, and that's another sort of, what do you call, reason to shoot, shoot these cannon crews, which is what these Wolf Rider Archers are now doing. Probably a little bit late for that, but we'll see. Azag might be able to stabilize here. Plenty of Goblins coming back from route for another kind of second wave, and the Squig Hoppers are able to get through and finally shut down that cannon. The Trollhammer torpedoes, of course, will be a massive threat to Azag as well, but we'll see. These Gyrocopters with Brimstone guns are going to try and chase him down. They've got, what, 105 speed versus his 110, so he probably should be able to stay out in front. We'll see kind of the vigor situation. But it looks like the Brimstone guns do turn around and try and take out those Squig Hoppers, which is obviously a great choice. More blasting charges being poured in against the Black Orcs. You can see this is just not the best engagement for the Greenskins. Two Black Orcs matched up on the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers. Basically, with the Norgrimlings, it's tough, man. You gotta have some plan for taking them out. And if you see them on the field, you definitely don't want to just, you know, get blobbed up on them, and then your opponent can kind of pour in their missiles. But Greenskins player definitely not out of this yet. The Night Goblin Squig Hoppers coming up and around. We've got some Skulkers coming back from route as well. These Spider Riders need to come in and keep disrupting. But yeah, a little bit of a mistake here as the Rusty Arrows get pulled into melee combat. That could potentially be a bad situation. But oh man, here we go. Azag comes in to get on these Trollhammer torpedoes, which are an imminent threat to him. Warriors Dragonfire Pass are going to switch over, and it looks like the Gyrocopter is actually shooting Azag as well. The Brimstone gun here. All the cannons have been shut down at this point, but the Trollhammers, even just a handful of volleys, will finish off Azag. But here we go with the Wolf Rider Archers, very cost-effectively shooting these Brimstone guns, and might be able to rout them. We'll see. Definitely still very, very close. Spider Riders coming in for another push here. Skulkers coming in as well. The Warlords boys do have armor sundering. You can see they're starting to work on this Rune Lord quite a bit, along with these Squig Hoppers here. The 8-peak loons also fighting. Haven't seen any Fanatics cast yet. Would be really nice to get those in the late game before you run out of these lads. But as it is, Wolf Riders did manage to rout off the Brimstone guns, but I'm not sure. Where did Azag get off to? Did he also rout? Nope, looks like he's just flying away in the distance, trying to maintain, maintain his spacing from all of these nasty missile units. Another push here, more Gobos coming back in. We'll see, they're going to have a hard time keeping their leadership together at this point. which is why the balance power is kind of starting to tell in the Dwarfs' favor. I mean, these Ironbreakers, Norgrimlings, and others have taken a lot of damage, but it just hasn't quite been enough. I almost wonder if you would have spread out with the Black Orcs, and rather than engage on the Ironbreakers, try and pick another engagement. And I mean, obviously, easier said than done when you're getting shelled, but just try and maybe not go directly onto the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers. Even like the regular Ironbreakers would be a better target, rather. But the Regiment of Renown, they're just so tanky. Not only they have massive melee defense, but extra unit models as well. Very, very hard to kill. And at this point, the Dawi's advantage is becoming pretty clear, as, I mean, we still got few... Nope, looks like probably army losses right there, as last with the Wolf Rider Archers give up the fight. Azag gives up the fight as well, and that'll be another victory for the Dwarves, so, yeah. Not quite multi-layered, but man, 212 kills on those steam gun gyros, 146 on the regular Ironbreakers, only 37 from the Norgrimlings, but considering they held up 2 units of Black Orcs, which then didn't pay for themselves at all, definitely can be pretty tough. You know, I honestly think maybe he should have brought some Boar Chariots, and I know people kind of have this perception of Boar Chariots being terrible, but I actually think they're kind of good now. I wonder what this build would have looked like if you would have replaced maybe, like, I don't know, the Black Orcs with Boar Chariots, perhaps. Yeah, I don't really know. I'd have to kind of play around with it and see. It's definitely an interesting matchup. There's a few different ways you can go as the Greenskins, but great job by you, Maze, staying calm there on the all-out rush, being able to stabilize, and yeah, being great with his targeting and priority as well. One thing I haven't really been talking about too much in this replay, but honestly, I would say is probably the biggest factor for playing the Dwarves well is spacing is one thing, and the other thing is targeting priority, obviously. Like, you need to know which targets to shoot first. And Yume's taking out Azag, obviously, as a priority, but then just kind of responding to mobile threats, not getting too focused on Azag, like we saw there with the Brimstone guns, kind of turning around, shooting at targets of opportunity, and yeah, still generating value throughout the course of the battle. Good stuff. We've got one more replay to get to, so let's take a look. Here we are again, fittingly for the map, up against the Lizardmen, and I love this aggressive Vanguard situation here with these Rangers. We've got the Ekron's Miners once again, looks like 3 units of Rangers, Bolthwar's Raiders, Dragonback Slayers also going to be running up the hill, more Rangers kind of in a deeper Vanguard, so some nice multi-layer missiles there. Got more Quarrelers, so looks like mass crossbows again, this time just Quarrelers and Rangers, 5 of each, and also Dwarf Warriors with a Rune Lord and Gotrek. This time we do have a Gotrek here, Wild Gotrek, and A-Move Hacker with his Lizardmen. He's got Ancient Salamander that's already learning the meaning of pain because it has very low HP. Skink Cohorts, Croc Scores as well. Got, yeah, more Croc Scores. Tic-Tac-Toe leading the way. Razordon Hunting Pack. Another Hunting Pack over here, I believe, is the Amazon Barbs. Skink Priest Lord Beast, some Saurus, and more, yeah, Croc Scores. And one of the reasons I love this aggressive Vanguard with the Dwarfs is it's kind of not necessarily always expected. I mean, certainly it should be something that you can prepare for, but you see how normally the Dwarfs, when you're playing as the Dwarfs, it's hard for you to have initiative. And what I mean by that is it's hard for you to, like, force your opponent to react to you. Typically the way you would do that is with artillery, right? But with an aggressive Vanguard kind of range contingent like this, you can immediately start pouring in volume mid-ranged fire, pressure your opponent into making some mistakes, and A-Move Hacker made a handful here, just a couple of these Croc Scores and Skink Cohort getting a little bit forgot about, but he's done a good job of kind of engaging across the line here. We've also got a Manticore Summon to start disrupting the back line, so not anything major, certainly, but losing some health on the Ancient Salamander and the Hunting Packs is tough, but we'll kind of see how the battle progresses here. On the top of the hill, you can see, again, the isolation. These Rangers are able to see off the supporting units very quickly and kind of focus fire on the crossbows. And typically, I mean, Dwarfs don't have the greatest burst damage in the world outside of their missiles, right? And so to be able to kind of establish major control over an area like this, kind of force concentrating, it's something that, I mean, I don't know, A-Move might have been expecting a build sort of like the last one with more of a traditional kind of static artillery-focused build, but this has definitely kind of changed the tables. Granted, Lizardmen still have plenty of tools left. The Quarrelers are starting to get taken down. We still got some healthy croc scores here. The ones that were quote-unquote forgotten are actually going to be a nice kind of strategic reserve now, so that's okay. Other croc scores came back from route over here, going to be saturating the Ekrans miners, and the Ancient Salamanders also back and start firing into different blobs of dwarf infantry. Will be quite strong. We've also got the Amexon Barbs going on a full flank here. Trying to get some supporting fire probably into these Rangers, or Corlers rather. Another Manticore Summon also going to be called up, and Tic-Tac-Toe switches down onto the low ground here as this missile superiority is still definitely in force. You can see Rangers have used up quite a bit of their ammunition. Now Skink Cohort going to try and punch through and get on them, but one thing the Lizardman build is going to run into problems with is killing Gotrek. There's not a lot of really great tools for killing Gotrek, but here the Amexon Barbs using their melee just rear charge potential here to get those Corlers terrified away, and then they can get more or less free damage with their armor-piercing melee attacks. It's actually very good use of the Razordons there, kind of as a hybrid melee missile unit. Many people forget about their melee potential, but in a situation like this, you can definitely get some good value. They're able to kind of clear out those Corlers very quickly. Tic-Tac-Toe helping to keep them routed away. The Manticore drops down. Unfortunately, the Slayers are right here, but Amexon Barbs will be able to provide some Overwatch fire. Try and shoot into those Dragonback Slayers and deal as much damage as possible. Bounce power dead even at this point to kind of stabilize from the Dwarfs' advantage earlier. And a beautiful shot by that Ancient Salamander right in the flank of those Rangers. Going to do a ton of damage. Ancient Sally will have to be careful not to stray too close. It has almost the same range, right? Yeah, 160 range is actually literally the same as the Rangers. So it does have to be slightly within range to fire. But we'll see if Yumeis is able to react in time with these Rangers. Right now, it's getting a little bit of a swing and a miss there because of the slope. But these healthy Croc scores able to do a ton of damage and help clean up this pocket. The Saurus Warriors should finish off these Dwarf Warriors now. But unfortunately, they did get a little bit caught up as they're trying to path through, weren't able to fully do so. The Amexon Barbs also, again, same thing. Only 100 range on the Amexon Barbs. Really interesting. I guess, yeah, for some reason I thought the Razordons had longer range, but again, that short range does mean they'll have to be close enough to the crossbows that they can return fire. Same thing with the Ancient Sally. You can see it kind of running away there, but the Soras are pushing through. Saurus. Anyway, where's Tic-Tac-Toe at as well? He's still flying around here somewhere. It looks like off in the distance, still chasing away those Corlers. These Croc scores strayed a little bit too close. Going to get focus fired here. Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and now the Dragonback Slayers moving in to basically pin them in place, more or less. But it looks like the Rune of Wrath and Ruin did wear off just in time. Beautiful Overwatch fire from the Amexon Barbs, just absolutely shredding those Slayers. They're trying to get some good damage on Gotrek as well, which they are able to do, but I almost wonder if you wouldn't be well served, if a move wouldn't be well served, rather, to bring like a Skink Chief on a Pterodon here, just to pick away in case of Gotrek. You can kind of consistently, you know, throw the, whatever, Poison Blowpipe at him, and just kind of consistently damage him throughout the course of a long battle. Your opponent will have to dedicate resources to taking down that relatively small hitbox, and you can just fly around and be annoying with him as well. The drop rocks can also do some good damage in a blob fight, but here, Rock scores again, because of their speed issue, they're marked by Ulthar now, just getting absolutely shredded by crossbows, their armor and missile resistance being down and everything, so yeah, they're really not doing well. They are going to finally make contact with those Ulthar's Raiders, but that was a very atrocious charge right there. That being said, bounce power is slightly in the Lizardmen's favor, if anything. Dwarf Warriors are able to kind of catch the Ancient Sally here, which, because of its low stats, they might actually be able to do some damage and rout it off. We'll see. It's very RNG dependent over there. Kind of keeping a broad view of things. Tic-Tac-Toe rushing back in. Him being so healthy is definitely helping the Lizardmen's case right now. And the Amexon Barbs, effective fire going into the last of the Dragonback Slayers there. The other Razordon hunting packs also still online, so we'll see. Lizardmen definitely not out of this yet. They're looking pretty strong at the moment, actually, continuing to pressure these Rangers with some Skink cohorts there. Unfortunately, it looks like the regular hunting packs did shatter, but Tic-Tac-Toe racked up, what, 32 kills so far on climbing, just been ping-ponging around to different targets, almost acting like a Chariot Lord in a way. You can see a lot of Dwarf units out in the periphery are kind of starting to come back, and yeah, the Saurus being chased off here is a big problem. We've now got the Croc scores, and things are not looking great for the Lizardmen. They still definitely have some good chances here, but the Skink Priest, I mean, he doesn't have much melee potential left, and he is counting quite a bit towards the balance of power, despite his lack of Winds of Magic, having summoned 2 Manticores already. And Flock of Doom's okay in a late game situation like this. It's not going to be amazing, but it does give you some kind of DPS output against crowds. But oh man, the Rune Lord and Gotrek are coming, and that's a bad day for the Skink Bro. He's going to have to bravely run away here, try and screen himself out on these Croc scores, but of course, Gotrek will get knocked over by a Croc score and then promptly get back up and keep going. Looks like the Skink Priest is able to get away there, but the Croc scores pay the ultimate price. Now the balance of power is starting to tell a little bit. We'll fast forward a bit through this late game as A-Move's going to do his best to use up the last of his ammunition on the Amexon Barbs, then kind of start using them in melee to charge various targets. You can see he's actually able to break up a little pocket of these Rangers and Quarrelers and so on here. Now, also Tic-Tac-Toe kind of providing the anchor point, and now they're going to rear charge. So Amexon Barbs, great hybrid utility in this matchup. Despite the low range, they can definitely get some great work done here. Will they be able to finish off these Quarrelers? Tic-Tac-Toe also helping keep them occupied, and it looks like probably they will rout. We'll see. They are holding their leadership for the time being absolutely obstinate Dwarfs. These two, these 22 here are routing, but the others are stabilizing, and it's not looking good on the balance of power for poor Tic-Tac-Toe. So we'll keep it on triple time here. Just a moment. Tic-Tac-Toe rushes back in. Gonna give him his last stand here. I say last stand. He's really still just like flying right above the ground, but oh man, absolutely brutal. Amexon Barbs doing their best to kind of stay moving. They have one more volley, maybe a couple more volleys here. They're just going to choose to support Tic-Tac-Toe and melee, maybe? Nope, where are they getting off to? All the way up here to these Quarrelers on the high ground. Meanwhile, Tic-Tac-Toe collapsed to try and help save this poor Skink Priest. Fortunately, that does leave him relatively close to Gotrek, but there's still just so much crossbow ammo left that the crossbows can keep poking continuously as the Lizardmen kind of reposition and try and get on various units here. So despite the power of Tic-Tac-Toe and these Amexon Barbs, I mean, we'll see. But all it takes is Gotrek getting a few good hits on Tic-Tac-Toe, and this is going to flip the balance of power very, very quickly. See Gotrek also coming in to start taking down the Amexon Barbs. That's some wild beast slay right there. Oh yeah. Nice power strike overhand. The Rune Lord also doing his part, trying to ring the bell, if you will. But those Amexon Barbs are slippery. They keep pushing through, getting on various Quarrelers and Rangers and so on. Not that there's much ammo left on anyone except this unit of Quarrelers here, but this is going to go on for some time, so we'll keep fast forwarding. Amexon Barbs eventually give up, and that's going to be the end. So very nicely done. A great Dwarf Games from Umaze. A big thanks to him for playing in the tournament. And yeah, hopefully you Dwarf fans out there enjoyed this one. It's good stuff. I mean, that's a solid Dwarf play there, kind of getting the overlapping lines of fire and staying tight to them, staying tight to your heroes, and again, that aggressive Vanguard situation, just seizing the initiative like that with the Dwarves is something that is not often expected. So when you do that, you can get some really, really nice results. And since he was able to do so much damage right out of the gate, Umaze was able to kind of take things a little bit piecemeal in a way where he could really concentrate on targets with his mass of crossbows, either on one side or the other, and it worked out okay. I mean, definitely A-Move did a great job of trying to disrupt and get in there, and especially in the late game using the Amexon Barbs. You can see 114 kills there, absolute legit in the late game, so I really like that. Just not quite enough today. But yeah, big thanks again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. So every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.